Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. It feels almost surreal to be talking about this, but here we are. The Miami Dolphins, once the darlings of offensive innovation and explosive highlight reels, are suddenly drowning in chaos. And right at the center of it all is their head coach, Mike McDaniel, who might be considering a move that would have seemed unthinkable just a few months ago, benching quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. That's right, the same Tua who, not long ago, was being mentioned in MVP conversations, who was being hailed as the face of McDaniel's high-octane offense, could now be on the verge of losing his starting job. What's happening in Miami is more than a slump. It's a full-blown identity crisis, and the way this story unfolds might define not just Tua's career, but McDaniel's reputation as one of the NFL's brightest young minds. Let's start with what went down on Sunday in Cleveland. The Dolphins walked into Huntington Bank Field facing a Browns team that was also sitting at 1-5, a matchup that most analysts thought would serve as a get-right game for Miami. Instead, it turned into a nightmare. The Dolphins didn't just lose, they were humiliated, falling 31-6 in a game that exposed every flaw this team has been trying to hide since the start of the season. Tua looked completely out of rhythm from the very first drive. The timing was off, the confidence was gone, and the decision-making, well, let's just say it was alarming. He completed only 12 of 23 passes for 100 yards and threw 3 interceptions, marking his second straight game with 3 picks. That's 10 interceptions in just 7 games. For a quarterback once praised for his accuracy and quick processing, those numbers are disastrous. You could feel the frustration boiling over on the Dolphins sideline. McDaniel, usually the cool and collected mastermind known for his calm press conferences and analytical approach, looked visibly agitated. And after the game, his tone shifted from his usual optimism to something much more serious. Speaking to reporters, McDaniel didn't name names, but the message was crystal clear. There's a lot of guys that will have an important work week, he said. If you are negatively affecting the football team routinely, I don't have a choice but to assess a different player. Now, you don't have to be a codebreaker to understand what that means. When the head coach says different player, and the quarterback has just thrown 3 picks in a blowout loss, there's no mystery about who he's talking about. What makes this situation even more fascinating is how far Tua's stock has fallen in such a short time. Last season, McDaniel and Tua looked like the perfect pairing. McDaniel's system, designed around precision, timing, and motion, seemed to unlock Tua's strengths. The Dolphins led the league in explosive plays, and for a while, it looked like Miami had finally found their answer at quarterback after years of instability. But that version of the Dolphins feels like a distant memory. Defenses have adjusted. They're pressing Miami's receivers, disrupting routes early, and forcing Tua to hold onto the ball longer than he wants to. The result? Hesitation, bad reads, and a growing sense of panic every time he drops back. It's not just about mechanics anymore. It's about confidence, and right now, Tua's confidence looks shattered. The benching late in the Cleveland game didn't mean much in the moment. McDaniel replaced Tua with Quinn Ewers, but by then the game was already out of hand. It looked like a mercy pull more than a statement. But make no mistake, when a coach benches his starting quarterback, even in garbage time, it plants a seed. It tells the team, the media, and the fans that the leash is getting shorter. And for a player like Tua, who's already been under intense scrutiny since the moment he entered the league, that kind of public doubt can be devastating. The locker room feels it too. When your quarterback starts to look unsure, everyone else does. Now, the big question is, would McDaniel actually pull the trigger and bench Tua going forward? On one hand, McDaniel has built his reputation on being loyal to his players, especially Tua. He's defended him through criticism, injuries, and bad games before. But there's also the reality of the situation. The Dolphins are now 1-6, their season teetering on the edge, and McDaniel knows that the NFL doesn't wait for loyalty. Winning fixes everything, and losing exposes everything. If McDaniel believes that a change at quarterback could spark something, even temporarily, he might have no choice but to try. The name being whispered as a possible replacement, Quinn Ewers, isn't exactly a household name. But sometimes coaches make these moves not because the backup is ready, but because the starter clearly isn't. Tua's recent struggles can't be pinned entirely on him, though. The offensive line has been inconsistent, allowing constant pressure. The run game, which was supposed to balance out the offense, has been non-existent in key moments. Even star receivers like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle haven't been able to mask the inefficiency with their usual explosiveness. But here's the thing. In the NFL, the quarterback always gets the blame, fair or not. He's the face of the team, the one everyone looks to when things go wrong. And right now, everything in Miami is going wrong. There's also an emotional component to this story that's hard to ignore. Tua has been one of the league's most likable players. His humility, his perseverance after multiple concussions, his calm leadership, it all made him easy to root for. But this season has revealed a different side. You can see it in his body language. The slumped shoulders, the forced smiles in press conferences, the frustration on the sidelines. He's a player who looks like he's fighting himself as much as he's fighting the opposing defense. And that's the kind of spiral that can derail a season fast. From McDaniel's perspective, this is the kind of crossroads that defines a coach's career. Does he double down on his guy and risk the season completely falling apart? Or does he make a bold move to send a message to the locker room that no one's job is safe? It's not an easy decision. But one thing is clear, McDaniel's patience is wearing thin. When he told reporters that guys will have an important work week, it wasn't just coach speak. That was a public warning shot. And if Tua comes out flat in practice this week, if he doesn't show signs of turning it around, we might see one of the most shocking quarterback benchings of the year. What makes this even more complicated is the ripple effect it could have. If Tua is benched, it's not just a quarterback controversy, it's a franchise crisis. The Dolphins have invested everything in this duo. The offense was built for Tua. The playbook, the personnel, the entire identity of the team revolves around his skill set. Benching him would mean admitting that the experiment failed, at least for now. And that's a hard pill to swallow for a front office that has spent years trying to build a contender around him. Still, sometimes reality leaves you no choice. You can't keep sending the same message to the same players and expect different results. The locker room starts to lose faith. The defense starts to wonder why they're putting in the work if the offense keeps giving the ball away. The fans, who once filled Hard Rock Stadium with two-a-time chants, start booing. Momentum is a fragile thing in the NFL, and right now, Miami's is completely gone. The irony of it all is that McDaniel himself isn't immune from scrutiny. For all the talk about Tua's interceptions, many fans are questioning whether McDaniel's scheme has become too predictable. The pre-snap motions, the quick slants, the timing routes, all of it worked brilliantly when teams weren't ready for it. But now, defenses are pressing receivers, clogging passing lanes, and daring Tua to beat them over the top. McDaniel has to evolve too. Because if he doesn't, he won't just be losing games, he'll be losing credibility. And let's be honest, the whispers have already started. Around the league, people are asking if McDaniel's genius label was premature. Was he just benefiting from lightning in a bottle? Was that early offensive explosion an illusion rather than a revolution? These are uncomfortable questions for a coach who, until recently, was one of the most beloved figures in football media. So here we are, Miami, a team built on speed and swagger, suddenly feels slow and uncertain. Tua Tagovailoa, once the heart of the Dolphins' resurgence, is now fighting to keep his job. Mike McDaniel, the supposed offensive wizard, is running out of magic. And the fans, who've waited decades for this franchise to matter again, are left wondering if it's all slipping away before their eyes. This week will be massive. Every practice, every throw, every meeting will matter. McDaniel said it himself. This is an important work week. Translation: this might be Tua's last chance to prove he still deserves to be the guy. Because in the NFL, loyalty lasts only as long as the next win. And right now, the Dolphins are desperate for one. If it doesn't come soon, we might be looking at a completely different Miami offense, and maybe even a completely different era by next Sunday. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? The Miami Dolphins locker room is buzzing with whispers that you wouldn't believe if you weren't right there. The rumor mill exploded this week after an incident that insiders are already calling unprecedented for a team that has been struggling to find its rhythm. According to multiple sources who claim to have been inside the facility, RAMSEY, yes, the same RAMSEY who's been making headlines with his defensive prowess, apparently confronted Tua Tagovailoa right in front of the entire team. The situation reportedly left everyone stunned, and the atmosphere in Miami has been described as, well, utterly unsustainable. If you thought NFL locker rooms were intense, what's supposedly happening in the Dolphins' quarters is a whole new level. Fans are already speculating about whether this marks the beginning of a locker room revolt or if it's just the pressure of a team trying to gel under the glaring Florida sun. Eyewitness accounts suggest that the confrontation wasn't subtle. RAMSEY reportedly didn't just make a point in private. He addressed Tua directly, loudly, and with an intensity that left other players frozen in place. Some teammates are allegedly taking sides, while others are trying desperately to stay neutral. One unnamed source said, "It was like watching a powder keg being lit. Nobody knew what would happen next, and for a moment, it felt like the season could unravel right there in front of us." The tension, insiders claim, isn't just about the confrontation itself. It's about everything it represents. The Dolphins have been under pressure. Their play has been inconsistent, and with a city as passionate as Miami, every slip-up becomes magnified. Rumors are already swirling that the incident may have broader implications for team dynamics. Some speculate that RAMSEY's frustration stems from what he perceives as a lack of leadership on the offensive side of the ball. Others argue that it might be a clash of personalities that's been simmering for weeks. Sources close to the locker room say that RAMSEY has always been outspoken, but this time it went beyond locker room banter. It was a public call-out. "It's not just about one play or one game," said a source who asked not to be named. "This is about authority, respect, and the pressure cooker that is the NFL. And when emotions get this high, things can explode." Fans on social media have been dissecting every word, every Instagram post, and every cryptic tweet for clues. Memes, videos, and speculation threads have already started trending, with some claiming that the Dolphins' locker room is on the brink of implosion. Coaches are reportedly scrambling behind the scenes. While the public face of the team remains calm, insiders suggest that meetings behind closed doors have been intense. One coach, speaking under the condition of anonymity, reportedly said, "We have to manage egos, emotions, and expectations all at once. This is the NFL, pressure is constant, but when two big personalities clash in front of the team, it changes everything. We have to act carefully, or it could affect not just this week's game, but the entire season." Management, according to the rumor mill, is aware and deeply concerned about the optics. They understand that Miami fans are unforgiving, and they're reportedly considering interventions ranging from private mediations to lineup adjustments, just to keep the team from spiraling. Social media is amplifying the story like wildfire. Fans are debating who is in the wrong, whether Tua will respond publicly, and what this means for the Dolphins' playoff hopes. One viral tweet that has been shared thousands of times reads, "If RAMSEY and Tua can't find a way to coexist, Miami might need more than a new playbook. They might need a new locker room." Forums are ablaze with speculation about whether this could signal a deeper fracture in the team. Some commenters argue that this confrontation is just a symptom of long-standing issues, including communication breakdowns between coaches and players, while others say it's merely the heat of competition. Either way, everyone seems to agree that the Dolphins' locker room is anything but normal right now. Interestingly, there are rumors that some of the younger players in the team are feeling caught in the middle. One insider noted that the rookies are reportedly trying to stay out of the drama, worried that any misstep could label them as taking sides. Veteran players are allegedly advising them to stay silent, emphasizing that the NFL is as much about politics as it is about football. "You don't want to be remembered for picking a side," said one source. But at the same time, you can't ignore the tension. It's in the air. Every practice, every meeting, every hallway conversation carries that weight. The idea that a team's performance could be influenced by internal drama is nothing new, but for Miami, the timing couldn't be worse. With games piling up and expectations high, the slightest crack could have major consequences. Speculation has also extended to the media and public figures. Commentators are already weighing in, analyzing RAMSEY's public statements, Tua's social media activity, and the subtle body language glimpsed in game footage. Some sports analysts are framing it as a clash of leadership styles, suggesting that RAMSEY represents an unyielding intensity while Tua embodies calm and strategy. Others paint it as a classic power struggle, the kind that has defined locker room conflicts in NFL history. A few voices are even suggesting that this could influence trade talks or future drafts, imagining scenarios where Miami might need to reconsider not just its playbook, but its roster composition entirely. Of course, in the world of sports rumors, nothing is ever fully confirmed, and every detail is open to interpretation. But if multiple sources are to be believed, the situation in Miami is more than just a story for the press. It's a living, breathing drama playing out on the practice field, in the locker room, and in the minds of every player. Fans are speculating about how this might affect game day chemistry, whether other players will step up to mediate, and if this confrontation might spark a broader leadership crisis. Even casual observers are weighing in, making predictions and debating the implications. The Dolphins, a team already under pressure to perform in a highly competitive division, now face an added layer of internal scrutiny that could define the season. The tension, as the rumor goes, hasn't yet reached its breaking point, but the warning signs are everywhere. Practices reportedly carry a charged energy, with players more guarded, meetings more tense, and off-field interactions watched closely by coaches and staff. Sources claim that even minor disagreements now carry extra weight, as everyone is hyper-aware of the RAMSEY TUA incident and its potential ripple effects. Some players are reportedly trying to lighten the mood, while others are said to be keeping a low profile, hoping the situation will resolve itself quietly. Meanwhile, fans and media outlets continue to dissect every angle, trying to predict the next move in a saga that seems as dramatic as any blockbuster NFL storyline. Whether this will be remembered as a temporary flare-up or a defining moment for the Dolphins remains to be seen. What is clear, according to the whispers circulating around Miami, is that the locker room climate has shifted dramatically, and that RAMSEY's confrontation with TUA has sent shockwaves far beyond a single practice session. Rumors of tension, strategy shifts, and internal debates abound, making it one of the most talked-about stories in the NFL right now. Everyone from coaches to players to fans is holding their breath, waiting to see what happens next. One thing is certain. If the Dolphins want to salvage their season, they will need to navigate this storm carefully, balancing personalities, expectations, and the high stakes of professional football in a city that demands nothing less than excellence. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.